So, for all of you out there who are complaining and whining and bemoaning how you all can't sit at a Starbucks for 30 seconds without somebody asking you to buy something or leave, or we'll call the cops, and will think that self separation is the key, that black separation, and we need to build our own societies and in a way, blacks do need to build their own societies, but that's the way that a lot of these mediocre Negroes describe it. Yeah, I'm gonna go on that for a second because there's one thing when it comes to building your own societies and civilizations and places where you're self-sustaining, where you have your own culture, where you have people who you're familiar with, and there's a certain sense of pride and comfort and reliability in that. Building your own neighborhoods where you make the rules, where you run the show, where you have the final say, isn't a bad thing within itself. However, the caliber of blacks who exist today, for the most part, are not the kind of people who have any business building any sort of neighborhood, much less forcing every other black person to only do business and live among and go to school among blacks. Because let's keep this honest, most blacks today are at best mediocre Negroes. Mediocre Negroes who, yeah, while they aren't bad people, they'll still use the race card. They'll still use the clutch of white supremacy. Not as much as the dusty Negroes or the other groups, the way to the left kind of just hoodlums. But you have people, whether it's your race hustlers, whether it's your reform Pookie and Ray Rays, your Pookie and Ray Rays who try to play down the middle, or your HOTEPs who will call you all sorts of coons and that sort of thing, but you should help them build Wakanda so they can live like a king. Um, this is why self-separation for blacks will not work. For starters, even among the mediocre Negroes, a lot of you guys don't get along with each other. I mean, yeah, you guys will get along with each other better than you will, say, a quote unquote educated you know what, a whitewash, acting white, you know what. But when it comes down to it, there are there are several instances in which I've seen people who are down with the cause and down with the get down, and we're gonna unite against this coon or this educated lame, just to fall out 6 months later. And we're talking about not just the internet, but in real life. You have people, you have Negroes who, yeah, they'll go after the guy who doesn't fit the mode or the stereotype. But once that's done, they're at it with each other's throats. It never fails. Never fails. And especially when it comes to blacks, particularly, I'll say this, stereotypical blacks, or blacks who follow the script. When it comes to them dealing with non-ghetto blacks, forget about it. I mean, you got the same people who will call you a coon, and you're soft shoeing, or you're working for the white man. You're speaking that Fox News language while getting all in their emotions and be like, "Well, man, what you talking about, man? Oh, man." Having damn near orgasms just because you said something logic and that you said something which involves common sense. All of a sudden, it's Fox News logic, and you're a sellout and you're an agent. But these same Negroes will point to you. Well, before that, they'll beg to you, say, "Man, we need to come together and build our own communities and build our own businesses and do our own thing." and built Wakanda. We can't forget about Wakanda, folks. But when you said, no thanks, I'm good. I'll do my own thing. I'll stay. I'll stay at arm's length. These are the same ones who now shame you about coming back to the community and you need to help uh, Baby and her kids because they need a father. They need a father in their life. Remember, even though Oz was the ones who knocked Baby up 2 times, and she has four of her 8 kids. They's mine, even though I can't confirm it. But they's mine, nigga. I don't give a shit. I take care of them. And I was take care of them. But I ain't got no money, man. I just spent my money on Jordans and weed and 2K and Fortnite, nigga. Nigga, I'm making rich off Fortnite, but dog, you need to take care of these kids. That's the mentality of most blacks. And that's the starters on why we can't have, or why self-separation will not work in today's black society. Which leads me to number 2. The blacks of today are not up to par. They are not up to the caliber of the blacks of, say, the 60s and prior. And in some cases, I even wonder how the blacks of the 60s and prior were. Because if they allowed this to happen, really, think about it. Either that, or I don't want to be a person who sounds like a northern elitist, or well, not Californian, a Western elitist, but maybe it might have been the fault of Southern blacks. I mean, yeah, you can't blame them, at least back then, for the lack of education and the lack of wherewithal and the lack of common sense. But we've allowed this Southern black redneck culture to be the black culture, I should say. I mean, it's come to the point now in which we're making up words. I'ma be going to the store instead of I'm going to the store. We have to add in extra syllables in order to keep it real. It's gotten to the point in which we'll spare saving several syllables. No, we gotta keep it niggified. We gotta keep it on point. We gotta stay on code. Which is what all that crap means. That keeping it on code, keeping it real talk, it all means keeping it dumb. Don't let anyone else fool you. And that's honestly a lot of these Negroes who are asking me, what's the black way of doing things? Or maybe I shouldn't say black. What's the Negro way of doing things? Well, I just answered it. To keep it as dumb and efficient and as anti-intellectual as possible. That's the Negro way of doing things. And that's what I experienced when I lived in a predominantly Negro city. And I'll elaborate a bit on that a bit later. I mean, look, the caliber of today's blacks, for the most part, excluding the southern blacks, the blacks in the north and the blacks in the west, especially the blacks in the west, they seem to not have a problem during that era. Which, by the way, not all America was under Jim Crow. Just to let you guys in on some real history. And alongside that, it seemed that a lot of the blacks in these parts of the country, the parts outside the South and parts of the Midwest and Northeast, a lot of these blacks fared very well. However, their stories go untold. Because we can't sell you, or we can't tell you, I should say, about a time in which blacks were able to function under American society. American society that at one point was way more racist than it is now. Not to say that racism doesn't exist in the United States of America, let's be honest. But let's continue. The third reason, it's going to be a matriarchy. The self-segregated black community will consist of black men and black women. And you know who's going to run the show? even if only behind the scenes, the women, the scraggle daggle, the hair hat. And I'm not using that as a euphemism for all black women, but let's be honest. It's going to be those kind of women who run things. They're going to be the ones who are going to tell men how to act if they want that super special prize, which is in between their legs, that has seen more action than a Bruce Willis movie or a Vin Diesel movie. Yeah, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You get the point. These women are going to shame men, even if these men know better, and even if these black men want to work with their fellow black men. There are going to be a certain group of women who will infiltrate any sort of cooperation and movement and will tell the men they deem either to have more swag or the men they deem more gullible and tell them, Devontae, you working with Charles? Nah, nigga, I know you ain't working with no Charles. Charles and Steven? Nah, Devontae, boy, you know better. You know better than that. Remember in middle school when we used to coerce you to make fun of them? When we made you roast the lames and the cornballs? And now you want to work with them? Boy, I need to remind you of this good I got in between my legs. You know how good it was? Because you fought for me in the playground in the middle of high school. That's how it went down, and now you want to work with them? I will remind you once again, Devontae, if you dare work with those educated lames, I will this store will be closed. And I don't mean your actual store neither. Oh, I can get that close too. Boy, don't fuck with me. I will call the white daddy if I have to. But this door between my legs, it's going to be closed for you unless you stop cooperating with these cornball niggas, these self-hating, white woman worshiping ass niggas. Now, am I clear? That's most of you Negroes right there. That's the problem. Why this so-called self-separation will not work. A lot of you will be so convinced to please that so-called woman to the point in which you will sabotage your own money. You will sabotage your own businesses. You will sabotage your own neighbors. Oh, wait, you already have. Yeah, too late. In order to get in between, anyone who goes and grovels and panders to women, anyone who goes on videos where black women bitch about nobody wants us, and then the Negro follows up and says, I love my black sisters. Anyone who does that is someone I have no respect for, and I definitely have no faith in creating a self-sustaining, hospitable, functional, self-separating environment. You see, Latino communities, Asian communities, Middle Eastern communities, Indian communities, a lot of those places, you know who's the boss there? You know who wears the pants? It's the men. And if the women don't want to get on board, if the women don't want to get on their code, real code, there's the fucking door. You can go on ahead and be some white boy's concubine and mistress all you want. And chances are you'll probably run into one of the white guys that the white women don't want, and for a good reason. But go on ahead. Lead the community. Lead the community we built for you. We took thousands of years, or we have thousands of years as evidence in our culture sustaining itself. Because men ran it. That's what the Latinos, Asians, Indians, Middle Easterners tell their daughters who even ponder, who even think, who even dream about leaving their communities or trying to cause strife between men. Fourth reason. On an economic scale, and I'm sure the likes of Anthony, Bryan, and Logan would definitely agree with me on this, socialism will be rampant. You're going to have a bunch of people who will want, but will not work. Whether it's because they're too lazy to work, whether because it's not the cool thing to work. And in a lot of cases, it's the men who are capable of working who just won't work. I'm not even talking about the women. We know a lot of these women will not work. At least not work on the behalf of men. If they do work, it's going to be either for themselves or for the cis guys at best. When it comes to men, a lot of men aren't going to work. And yeah, it's going to be because of laziness, number one. But number two, it will mainly be because they will be shamed to not work. Back to the example I had earlier of the Scraggle Daggle, who basically shamed the suspecting mediocre Negro Devante to not collaborate and cooperate with his brothers. Men like this will be shamed into not working because, as we all know, having a hard work ethic, putting in an honest day's work, pulling yourself by your own bootstraps, that's seen as white, that's seen as corny, that's seen as lame. And the worst thing a black man can dream himself of being is being considered an educated cornball lame. I mean, some of these men would rather die than be considered that. And if putting in a hard day's work is considered being an educated lame, then shit, man, I was gonna sit here, man. I ain't trying to piss off Keisha. Man, I need to get in between tonight. Yeah, whatever, you do that. But the number 5 reason, and I should say the biggest reason why this self-separation will not work, it's simple. Negroes will discriminate against non-ghetto blacks. You all thought that Jim Crow was bad? Let's not go into swag flow. Yeah, from the makers of Jim Crow comes swag flow. If you don't epitomize the stereotypical black image, if you don't epitomize the Pookie and Ray Ray image, or the Hotep pro-black image, or the black victimhood image of, oh my god, you let the white man go in the Starbucks and use the bathroom. You won't let me in? You won't let me in? You won't let me in? If you don't epitomize a stereotypical Negro image, you will be systematically discriminated against. No ifs, ands, or buts. And in a way, this is happening right now in predominantly black neighborhoods across the country, especially ones where blacks have some sort of influence, affluence, and wealth. Don't believe me? Go to places like Atlanta. Go to places like DC. And you will have people tell you, I ain't never seen it. I ain't never seen it. But black people who run stuff they are studious. These same people who deny it are no different than the white supremacists, real white supremacists, who would say that racism's over and you all got BET and World Star Hip Hop and y'all make 80% of football and 120% of basketball. Why are you complaining? Racism is over. I don't see it. Which proves to me that those who follow the Negro script and those who sympathize, if not are, white supremacists are two sides of the same coin. These Negroes will discriminate against you if you don't follow code, if you don't stick on whatever bullshit agenda they want you to stick on this week. And we all know the bullshit agenda this week is Starbucks. Basically saying that, well, everybody else goes in there and they just don't buy anything. So if you don't buy anything and they arrest you, they's racist. But we got kids being shot for going to school and no one makes a fucking peep about it. Yeah, make that make sense. And I can go on all day with this damn swag flow systematic discrimination, which happens. And a lot of you all can I wish, if you made it to the end of this video, and I won't make this too long, what will make my day is if I see stories in the comment section about how you, as non-ghetto blacks, have been discriminated systematically, whether you were denied a job, denied schooling opportunities, denied loans, or denied anything else. Hell, even in the social realm, denied friends, denied dates, denied a peace of mind just because you didn't fit into the black stereotype. Put it all in the comment section and let the world see, especially these Negroes who want you to basically go back into the community and self-separate. Let them see what happens when you have modern day blacks being forced to live, or I should say modern day Negroes being forced to run the show, and modern day, well, not even modern day, but non-ghetto blacks being forced to be under their thumb and their oppression. And when somebody says this crap about blacks need to self-separate and we need to stick to our own, a lot of that is just code word. It's a very slick code word, and it's a very slick code word for you need to get back to the community. You need to come back to the community. You don't have to take care of the kids, but you need to come back to the community. I need your money because I's fucked up and have a kid out of wedlock, or I fucked up and went to jail or prison because I was a stick-up kid because I thought that was a cool thing to do, or I's fucked up in school and I was a degenerate and I thought it was cool to be dumb in school and I barely got my GED at the age of 33. It's all code word for gimme. Now, I'm not saying that coming together as black men, if you have an agenda and if it's with black men who are on point, I'm definitely not against that. If I was, I wouldn't collaborate with the likes of O'Shea Duke Jackson and Obsidian Media Network, Solo TV 84, the list goes on. Heck, even the one time I was on Not in Shark. But then again, we're both whitewashed, and that's like, if he hits me up, then it's like, that's a whole nother story. That's like, saw dude. But yeah. As far as the rest of you Negroes go, most of the rest of you Negroes, I don't want to live damn near anywhere near you. Yeah, I'll help you because a rising tide lifts all boats. But outside of that, and if we have to leave America, after I help you get away from the alt-right neckbeards and good old boys with their pickup trucks, once I help you get away from that and thin us off from that, we have no other business. I'll go to Canada. You can go to Wakanda. And everyone else out there, always bet on X.